The Grand Hall of the Galactic Confederation Summit on Centauri Prime fell silent as Admiral Elaine Weber stepped up to the podium. Her blue uniform stood out among the colorful array of alien representatives. 75 years of human membership in the Confederation was about to end. Representatives of the Galactic Confederation, Admiral Weber began, her voice firm and clear. On behalf of the United Nations Space Command and all human territories, I am here to announce our complete withdrawal from the Confederation, effective immediately. The silence lasted exactly 3 seconds before chaos erupted. The Zalaxian ambassador, a tall blue being with 4 arms, simply fainted, collapsing into a puddle of robes. The Viridian delegation broke into loud clicks and whistles, their universal translators unable to keep up with their distress. From the upper balcony, the floating gaseous collective turned bright red, a sign of extreme alarm. This decision is final. Admiral Weber continued despite the uproar. All human personnel, technology, and resources will be removed from Confederation space within 6 months. We thank you for 75 years of cooperation. She stepped away from the podium as security drones moved in to control the increasingly panicked crowd. Some representatives were already screaming into their communication devices, alerting their homeworlds. In orbit above Centauri Prime, Captain Samuel Harrison of the UNSC flagship Intrepid received the coded message he had been waiting for. The announcement had been made. Now the real work would begin. Communications Officer Peterson, send the withdrawal notice to all human outposts across Confederation space, Harrison ordered, his weathered face reflecting on the view screen. Tell them to begin evacuation protocols immediately. Yes, sir, replied Lieutenant Karen Peterson, her fingers dancing across the holographic interface. Message broadcasting on all secure human channels. Across 20,000 light-years of space, humans began receiving the coded message they had secretly trained for. Scientists in alien laboratories, engineers at power stations, doctors in medical facilities, and military personnel at joint bases, all prepared to leave. Back on Centauri Prime, the Confederation Council had assembled for an emergency session. The chamber doors were sealed as the highest-ranking members of the 17 founding species argued desperately. How will the Hyperion Mining Collective function without human engineering? Demanded the rock-like Thelosian representative, pounding his granite fist on the table. Our entire extraction process relies on their gravity manipulation technology. The medical crisis will be worse, chirped the bird-like aviary counselor. Human biochemistry research has been supporting our pandemic prevention systems for decades. High Chancellor Zorlath, the ancient and respected leader of the council, raised his 6-fingered hands for quiet. We must approach the humans with new terms. They cannot simply leave. The Confederation would face collapse within a year. Outside the council chamber, Krellthax, a green-skinned Viridian diplomat, waited anxiously. Unlike many of his peers, he had actually lived among humans, even attended their university on Earth. He considered several humans to be close friends, particularly Dr. Gregory Mitchell, who had taught him Earth history. Krellthax's communication device buzzed. It was Gregory. I guess you've heard the news. Gregory's voice came through, sounding sad. Greg, what is happening? This makes no sense. The Confederation needs humans, Krellthax pleaded. I'm sorry, old friend. The decision was made at the highest levels. I'm already packing my lab. I ship out tomorrow. But why? After 75 years. There was a long pause. Ask your council about Operation Containment. Ask them what they plan to do about the human problem once we shared all our technology. The communication ended, leaving Krellthax frozen in place. Operation Containment. He had never heard of such a thing. Inside the council chamber, emergency messages flooded in from across the galaxy. The Arcturus Gate network was already reporting problems as human technicians walked away from their posts. 3 major trading hubs had closed as human shipping companies recalled their fleets. The Galactic Stock Exchange had plummeted to record lows within an hour of the announcement. And this was just the beginning. As news spread across the stars, the truth became painfully clear. The galaxy had become completely dependent on humans, and humans were walking away. The panic had only just begun. 1 week after the announcement, the first serious problems began to appear across the galaxy. On the mining colony of Proxima B, alien workers stood in confused groups around silent machinery. The human engineers had left on short notice, taking their repair tools and manuals with them. "Try pressing the green button again," suggested a frustrated draconian supervisor to his crew. The massive drill whirred briefly, then shut down with a sad groan. None of them understood how the human-designed equipment really worked. They had never needed to learn. The Merchant Guild's headquarters on New Singapore Station was in complete disarray. Guild Master Laurie Bennett stared at the latest reports with growing concern. Over 60% of interstellar shipping was handled by human companies. Now those ships were returning to Earth space, leaving thousands of cargo loads stranded at ports across the Confederation. "The Rigelian food shipments won't reach the outer colonies," Laurie explained to the panicked alien representatives crowding her office. "Without human cold storage technology, everything will spoil before traditional ships can make the journey." A tall purple alien waved all four of his arms in distress. "My people will starve." Governor Patricia Lane watched the last transport ship loading at the human settlement on Kepler 442 bits. For 15 years, humans had lived alongside the native Keplerians, helping them develop modern agriculture and medicine. Now all 5,000 human residents were leaving. "Please do not go," begged Florax, the Keplerian elder, his leaf-like appendages trembling. "Our children need your teachers. Our sick need your doctors." Patricia placed her hand gently on Florax's shoulder. "I'm sorry. The decision wasn't mine to make." She couldn't tell him about the classified reports, how the Confederation had secretly been planning to restrict human expansion once they had extracted all useful human knowledge. The evidence had been discovered only months ago, but it had changed everything. At the Confederation's primary research station orbiting Ta Ceti, Chief Engineer Alan Powell stood before the massive shield generator that protected the station from deadly radiation. For 10 years, he had maintained this critical system that kept thousands of alien scientists safe. "The emergency protocols are all in this manual," Alan explained to the Heliorian engineer beside him. The squid-like alien's tentacles nervously flipped through the pages, its 3 eyes blinking in confusion. "This will take years to understand," the Heliorian complained. Alan shrugged. "Not my problem anymore." He pressed the shutdown sequence, initiating the generator's power-down process. The backup systems would last 3 months at most. After that, the station would become uninhabitable without human expertise to restart the main generator. On a remote outpost near the galaxy's edge, Lieutenant Zachary Morrison packed his few belongings. A young Arcturian named Tekla watched from the doorway, his crystalline face reflecting the dim light of the room. "Why are all humans leaving?" Tekla asked. "Did we do something wrong?" Zachary paused, looking at the alien child he had taught to play baseball. "No, buddy. You did nothing wrong. Sometimes grown-ups discover things that change everything." Tekla stepped forward. "My father says the Confederation will fall apart without humans." "Your father might be right," Zachary admitted. Across Confederation space, alien news networks broadcast increasingly desperate pleas. Famous aliens who had worked with humans made emotional appeals. The Zalaxian Emperor himself offered unprecedented trade terms if humans would reconsider. None received any response from Earth. The Galactic Stock Exchange continued its free fall as investors panicked. Industries dependent on human innovation saw their values drop by 90%. Insurance companies refused to cover ships traveling without human navigators, as accident rates had already tripled. On the luxury resort world of New Hawaii, wealthy aliens offered their entire fortunes to any humans willing to stay. But the evacuation ships kept arriving, and the humans kept boarding them, their faces determined. In a secret meeting room on Centauri Prime, Crawlfax finally gained access to the classified files his human friend had mentioned. As he read about Operation Containment, the Confederation's long-term plan to eventually contain and control humanity once their usefulness ended, his green skin paled to white. The humans had discovered the betrayal, and now the galaxy would pay the price for its deception. 1 month into the withdrawal, critical systems began failing across Confederation space. The Galactic Senate convened an emergency technology summit on Orion Prime, with representatives from all major species in attendance. Senate President Vorlix pounded his crystalline gavel for order. We face a crisis unlike any in our history. Human technology is embedded in every part of our civilization. We must find solutions before more lives are lost. Already, 3 space stations had lost life support when their systems failed. A passenger liner had disappeared in hyperspace after its human-designed navigation system malfunctioned. Food processing plants on 12 worlds had shut down. At the Confederation's Advanced Physics Institute, Dr. Natalie Summers packed her research notes. She was the last human scientist at the facility, and her work on gravity manipulation had revolutionized space travel. A delegation of alien officials watched her with desperate eyes. Dr. Summers, the lead alien said, his voice translator struggling to convey his emotion, "We offer you personal ownership of an entire moon system. Complete autonomy. Unlimited research funding. Just stay and continue your work." Natalie closed her case with a snap. "I'm sorry, but my decision is final." She didn't tell them about the classified files she had seen, how the Confederation had secretly harvested human innovations while planning to restrict human influence once they had what they needed. On the medical station Asclepius, alien doctors struggled to operate human-designed equipment. The advanced surgical units sat unused, their interfaces too complex for non-human minds to navigate. In the pediatric ward, young aliens cried out in pain as treatments were delayed. "We relied too heavily on human medical technology," admitted Chief Medical Officer Zendar, his tentacles trembling with fatigue. "Now we must relearn the old methods, but many will suffer while we do." Colonel Frank Daniels led a team of human peacekeepers through a war zone on Rigel VI. For decades, humans had maintained peace between the warring northern and southern Rigelian factions. Now, as the humans prepared to leave, old hostilities flared. "Keep moving," Frank ordered his squad as they escorted the last human diplomats to the evacuation ship. "The ceasefire is breaking down already." Behind them, explosions lit up the horizon. The southern Rigelians had respected human authority, but they had never trusted the Confederation peacekeepers who would be left behind. In the Arcturus Research Complex, alien scientists made a disturbing discovery. The supposedly open-source human technologies they had been given contained elements that only humans fully understood. Critical components had been designed to work with human brainwave patterns or human genetic codes. "It's not sabotage," explained the lead researcher to the Confederation Council via hologram. "Humans simply built technology that worked naturally with their biology. We never realized how deeply it was integrated." Commander Grace Mitchell stood on the bridge of her transport ship, facing down 3 Confederation vessels, blocking her departure from Ta City. "This is your final warning," she transmitted. "The UNSC Dauntless has diplomatic clearance to leave Confederation space with all human personnel." The alien commander's face appeared on her view screen. "We cannot allow your engineers to leave. The station will become uninhabitable without them. Thousands will die." Grace's hand hovered over the weapons console. "That is unfortunate, but not our concern. Move your vessels, or we will move them for you." The alien vessels didn't budge. Grace sighed and pressed the button that activated the ship's previously hidden weapon systems. The aliens had never suspected that every human vessel contained military-grade technology beneath its civilian exterior. The Confederation ships scattered as the Dauntless revealed its true capabilities. At UNSC headquarters on Earth, Admiral Weber received the latest reports. The withdrawal was proceeding ahead of schedule, but galaxy-wide conditions were deteriorating faster than expected. "Should we slow the evacuation?" her aide asked. "The death toll among alien populations is rising." Weber's face remained stern. "No, the Confederation made their choice when they approved Operation Containment. They plan to use us and then contain us. Now they'll learn to live without us." Across the galaxy, human ships continued their exodus, leaving chaos in their wake. And this was only the beginning. 2 months after the announcement, the Confederation was desperate enough to send its highest-ranking delegation to Earth. The 5 most powerful alien leaders in the galaxy traveled on their fastest ship to the edge of human space. They were met at the Lunar Diplomatic Facility, not permitted to approach Earth itself. Ambassador Richard Kelly received them in a plain room with minimal furnishings. No refreshments were offered. "The Confederation extends its deepest apologies for any misunderstandings," began High Chancellor Zorlath, his 6-fingered hands making the formal gesture of peace. "We offer humans a new position within our alliance. Full voting rights on the Inner Council. Control of 3 sectors of your choosing." Richard Kelly sat motionless, his face showing no emotion. "Continue." The aviary representative chirped nervously. "Tax exemption for all human businesses. Priority access to rare resources. A human-led science division with unlimited funding." "Is that all?" Kelly asked coldly. The rock-like theologian leaned forward. "We will add a constitutional amendment stating that no action can ever be taken against human interests without human approval." Kelly looked at each alien representative in turn. "You still don't understand. This isn't a negotiation. We're not looking for better terms." He stood up, signaling the end of the meeting. "Operation Containment revealed your true intentions. You plan to use us and then control us. Now you will learn to live without us." Far from Earth, in the shadows of the Orion Nebula, several alien empires were not accepting defeat. A secret meeting took place aboard the silicate battle cruiser Stone Fist. "Military action is our only option," declared Grand Marshal Vexcor, pounding his armored fist on the table. "We must capture key human experts and force them to maintain critical systems." The other military leaders murmured in agreement. Plans were drawn up to intercept evacuation ships and seize valuable human personnel. Lieutenant Nicole Rodriguez was monitoring communications from her station on the UNSC outpost near Betelgeuse when she intercepted the encrypted alien transmissions. Working quickly, she decoded enough to understand the threat. "Sir, I've detected plans for military operations against our evacuation ships," she reported to her commanding officer. "Multiple species involved, targeting our scientists and engineers." Within hours, the intelligence reached Vice Admiral Eric Bennett at UNSC headquarters. He immediately ordered all human ships to activate their defense systems and travel in protected convoys. Then he requested a direct channel to the Confederation Council. "We have intercepted your military plans," Bennett told the shocked council members. "Any attempt to forcibly detain human citizens will be considered an act of war." The alien representatives began denying knowledge of the plot, but Bennett cut the transmission. He had made his point. In a dim bar on Centauri Prime, human intelligence operative Catherine Lewis met with her longtime alien informant one last time. The blue-skinned Andromedan slid a data crystal across the table. "This contains the complete operation containment files," the alien whispered. "All the proof you need. They'd been planning it for 40 years. Catherine took the crystal. "Why are you helping us?" The Andromedan's 4 eyes blinked sadly. "Because my people were wrong. We saw humans as tools to be used, not as partners. Now we'll pay the price for our arrogance." Above the planet, the last human diplomatic shuttle prepared to depart. The Confederation had offered to triple the salaries of any human who would stay behind. Not a single one had accepted. On Earth, the UNSC Defense Council reviewed the latest galactic reports. Ambassador Kelly presented his findings from the lunar meeting. "They're desperate," he told the assembled military and civilian leaders. "The Confederation is offering everything short of complete surrender." Admiral Weber nodded. And the secret military plans? Just the beginning, Kelly replied. Our intelligence suggests several species are preparing for more aggressive actions as their situations worsen. Weber turned to the holographic map showing all human assets still in Confederation space. Nearly half had already been evacuated, ahead of schedule. Accelerate the withdrawal, she ordered. I want our people out before the aliens get truly desperate. Across the galaxy, the news spread. Humans were not coming back. As this reality sank in, panic turned to fear, and fear began turning to something darker. Desperation. 3 months after humanity's announcement, the first major catastrophe struck the galaxy. The Arcturus Gate Network, a system of wormhole gates connecting 27 star systems, suddenly collapsed. The network had been designed by humans and maintained exclusively by human engineers for the past 50 years. Billions of aliens found themselves cut off from the rest of the Confederation. Supply ships could no longer reach them through the instant pathways of the gates. The long way around would take months or years. We have reports of immediate food shortages on Arcturus IV, reported in aid to the Confederation Emergency Council. Medical supplies will run out within a week on 3 more planets. High Chancellor Zorlaf looked older than ever, his normally lustrous scales now dull with stress. Contact the humans again. Offer them anything. They are not responding to our messages, the aide said quietly. In a different part of space, a Confederation military cruiser made the fatal mistake of firing on a human transport vessel. The shots were meant to disable the engines, allowing the aliens to board and capture the human engineers on board. The cruiser exploded into atoms before its crew even realized the transport ship had defensive capabilities far beyond what any civilian vessel should have. Humans had never shared their true military technology with the Confederation. Major William Garcia led the counter-strike against the Silicate battle group that had been hunting human evacuation ships. His squadron of fighters emerged from stealth mode directly behind the alien vessels. All ships target their engine cores, he ordered calmly. Fire when ready. The alien ships never had a chance to defend themselves. Within minutes, the entire battle group was disabled, floating helplessly in space. This is Major Garcia of the UNSC, he transmitted to the crippled ships. Your life support will continue functioning for exactly 30 days. I suggest you call for help. On Earth, Defense Secretary Julia Downing authorized the activation of hidden defensive systems that humans had secretly placed throughout Confederation space over the decades. Massive automated platforms emerged from concealed positions near major trade routes. Stealth satellites activated around key planets. The Confederation is growing desperate, she explained to the Security Council. We need to ensure the safety of our remaining citizens in their space. The Confederation military leaders were shocked when their sensors suddenly detected thousands of human weapons platforms that had been hiding in plain sight for years. They had never suspected how thoroughly humans had prepared for the possibility of conflict. In the diplomatic center on Centauri Prime, senior diplomat Laura Peterson met with alien representatives one final time. The meeting had been requested by the aliens, who now realized the true extent of human military capabilities. We had no idea, admitted the draconian ambassador, his scaled face pale with fear. All this time, we thought humans were primarily scientists and traders. We never imagined that we would be prepared for betrayal. Laura asked coolly. Operation Containment made your intentions clear. You plan to use our technology and then control us. Did you really think we wouldn't have contingency plans? The alien representatives looked at each other nervously. Their own secret reports had just revealed the frightening truth. Humans could have conquered the Confederation at any time over the past 50 years. Instead, humans had simply hidden their true capabilities while integrating themselves into every critical system. And now they were leaving, taking their knowledge and technology with them. Back on the UNSC flagship Intrepid, Captain Samuel Harrison reviewed the latest evacuation reports. 70% of human citizens had now been extracted from Confederation space, weeks ahead of schedule. Sir, His communications officer called out, "We're receiving distress signals from over 200 alien worlds. They're all requesting human assistance." Harrison's face remained impassive. Standard response to all. Human assistance is no longer available to Confederation members. Across the stars, alien civilizations that had taken human help for granted now faced a harsh reality. Their medical systems were failing, their power grids were collapsing, their ships were breaking down, and the humans who had maintained everything were leaving, one by one. The breaking point had been reached, and there was no going back. 4 months into the withdrawal, multiple alien civilizations had declared states of emergency. Food shortages affected trillions as human agricultural technologies and techniques were withdrawn. The synthetic protein factories that had fed the overcrowded worlds of the inner systems stood silent and useless without human maintenance. Our analysts project complete food system collapse within 30 days on at least 60 major worlds, reported the Confederation Emergency Coordinator. His holographic image flickered as power systems across the galaxy became unstable. The once peaceful Andromeda Trade Alliance, a group of 12 species that had worked together for centuries, dissolved into armed conflict. They fought over the dwindling resources that remained. Ships that had once carried goods now carried weapons. Captain Douglas Kelly of the UNSC observer vessel, Horizon, watched through long-range sensors as 3 separate alien species begged for human intervention in their rapidly escalating war. "They're asking us to mediate their dispute over the remaining functional food processing centers," his intelligence officer explained. Douglas shook his head. "Send the standard response. Human diplomatic services are no longer available to Confederation members." On his view screen, alien warships fired on each other above a once peaceful world. The humans watched in silence, recording everything but intervening in nothing. On Earth, human observers noted with concern that the galaxy was destabilizing faster than their predictions. The UNSC had expected a 12-month period of decline. Now their models showed complete Confederation collapse within 6 months. "We need to extract our remaining citizens faster," General Margaret Evans told the Security Council. "The situation is deteriorating too quickly." The Council agreed, and new orders went out to all human ships still in Confederation space. Accelerate the evacuation timeline. Get everyone out within 60 days. In the Confederation Senate chamber, now half empty as many representatives had returned to their home worlds to deal with local crises, emergency powers were granted to a special committee. "We must preserve what we can," urged the Thelosian representative. "The humans have left us with nothing but scraps of their technology. We must learn to use what remains." "It's not enough," responded the Viridian delegate, his green skin pale with exhaustion. "Our best scientists estimate we have lost 500 years of technological progress. Some systems cannot be replicated without human innovation." Kralfax, who had once been the most respected Viridian diplomat, now worked as an emergency coordinator. He had seen the files on Operation Containment and understood why humans had left. Still, he could not watch his people suffer without trying to help. "We must adapt," he told the refugee camp on his homeworld. 10,000 displaced aliens from failed colonies crowded the makeshift shelters. "Humans taught me that adaptation is the key to survival." But adapting proved difficult. So many species had lost basic survival skills during the decades of reliance on human technology. Many didn't know how to grow food without automated systems. Others had forgotten how to navigate without human-designed computers. In the deep space medical facility near Betelgeuse, alien doctors watched helplessly as patients died from treatable conditions. The synthesizers that had produced life-saving medications no longer functioned. The diagnostic equipment sat dark and silent. "We must return to our ancient healing methods," declared Chief Healer Morax to his staff. "Before humans came, our people survived for thousands of years with herbal medicines. We must remember the old ways." But the old ways could not save everyone. The death toll mounted across the galaxy. The last human diplomatic mission departed from the Confederation capital amid scenes of desperation. Ambassador Leah Russell boarded her shuttle as alien representatives crowded the landing pad, some begging for human doctors to stay, others offering personal fortunes for simple technical knowledge. "Tell your leaders we will remember who helped us in our early days," one elderly alien called out, "and we will remember who abandoned us in our time of need." Leah paused at the shuttle door. "And we will remember who planned to betray us after using our knowledge," she replied quietly before stepping inside. As her shuttle lifted off, riots broke out in the streets below. The Great Confederation, which had stood for 3,000 years, was coming apart at the seams, and the humans who had been part of it for less than a century were leaving it in ruins simply by walking away. 6 months after the announcement, the last human ships prepared to depart Confederation space. The exodus had proceeded faster than planned, driven by the rapidly worsening conditions across the galaxy. Nearly all human citizens had been evacuated, with only a few specialist teams remaining to complete critical withdrawals. On the central Confederation world of Proxima Centauri II, thousands of alien representatives gathered outside the human embassy compound. They came from hundreds of worlds, many traveling for weeks on failing ships just to make a final plea. "We offer unconditional surrender of authority," announced the Confederation High Council through their official channels. "Humans will have complete control of the Confederation. All our worlds, all our resources, all our people, everything will be under human governance." Inside the compound, Ambassador Ryan Butler and his staff continued packing the last diplomatic files. The desperate offers from outside went unanswered. "Sir," said his aide, "the Confederation's supreme leader is personally requesting to speak with you. He says they'll make humans the ruling species of the galaxy if we stay." Ryan barely looked up from his packing. "Send the standard response. The decision to withdraw is final and not subject to negotiation." On the education world of New Alexandria, Professor Howard Mitchell delivered a final address to the Galactic Senate's Education Committee. As the renowned xenanthropologist finished downloading the archives of the Great Library, he agreed to speak one last time to the alien leaders. "For 75 years, we shared our knowledge freely," Howard told the assembled aliens, his voice firm despite his elderly age. "We taught you our science, our medicine, our philosophy. We asked only for peaceful cooperation in return." He paused, looking at the desperate faces before him. "But while we shared openly, your leaders plotted in secret. Operation Containment showed us the truth. You feared our potential so much that you planned to use us and then contain us. You never saw us as true partners." The aliens hung their heads in shame. The secret files had been made public 3 months ago, revealing the Confederation's long-term plans to eventually restrict human expansion and influence once they had extracted all useful knowledge. "We were wrong," admitted the aviary representative, his feathers drooping. "We let fear guide our policies. Now we will pay the price for generations." Howard nodded sadly. "Yes, you will. Goodbye." He walked out of the Grand Chamber and boarded the last shuttle from New Alexandria. Captain Susan Harper commanded the final military vessel leaving Confederation space. Her ship, the UNSC Defiant, had remained behind to ensure all human civilians safely departed. Now she received the message she had been waiting for. All humans accounted for. "Helm, set course for Sol system," she ordered, watching the alien space station slowly recede on her view screen. "Captain, we're receiving thousands of distress calls," her communications officer reported. "They're all asking for assistance." Susan's face remained impassive. "Record them for the archives, but maintain communication silence. Our mission is complete." As the Defiant prepared to jump to faster-than-light speed, Susan watched the alien media broadcasts one last time. They showed scenes of riots, economic collapse, and widespread despair across countless worlds. Confederation authority had broken down on most planets, with local governments struggling to maintain basic services. On Earth, the UNSC leadership gathered to mark the official end of the withdrawal operation. Admiral Weber stood before the assembled military and civilian leaders. "Operation Exodus is complete," she announced. All human citizens have been safely extracted from Confederation space. All human technology has either been removed or rendered inoperable. Our borders are secured. There was no cheering, no celebration. The humans had not wanted this outcome, but the discovery of Operation Containment had left them no choice. What about the Confederation's final offer? Asked one of the civilian leaders. Complete surrender of authority. They offered to make us the ruling species of the galaxy. Weber's expression remained grim. After discovering their plans to eventually contain us, their offer comes from desperation, not respect or trust. The decision stands. Far from Earth, at the very edge of what had once been Confederation space, a small group of alien ships gathered. Their leaders had come to a difficult conclusion. The Confederation had been wrong about humans all along. The humans had never been the threat. The real threat had been the aliens' fear and arrogance. "We must find a way to earn back their trust," said Kralfax, now leader of this small coalition. "Not for our sake, but for the galaxy's future." 1 year after humanity's withdrawal, the galaxy was unrecognizable. The mighty Confederation, once spanning thousands of worlds across 7 spiral arms, had officially dissolved 6 months ago. The Grand Council chamber on Centauri Prime stood empty, its ornate decorations looted by desperate citizens. Where advanced civilizations had thrived, many worlds had regressed technologically and socially. Agricultural planets that had once exported food now struggled to feed their own people. Medical facilities operated at primitive levels, unable to treat conditions that had been routinely cured in the human era. At the edges of what had once been Confederation space, a small group of human observers monitored the situation from stealth ships. Director Keith Bennett led this observation team, collecting data on the post-withdrawal galaxy. "The regression continues at predicted rates," reported his chief analyst, showing charts on the main view screen. "Most advanced species have lost 3 to 5 centuries of technological progress. Some have lost more." Keith nodded grimly. "And their social structures, continuing to fragment. The Viridian Alliance has split into 12 competing factions. The Draconian Empire now controls only its home system, down from 93 worlds at their peak." The humans watched and recorded everything, but maintained their strict non-intervention policy. Earth had sealed its borders, allowing no alien ships to approach. The few desperate vessels that had attempted to reach human space had failed to penetrate the defensive measures left behind at the edge of the Sol system. On a small ship traveling through what had once been the busiest trade route in the galaxy, Kralfax met with representatives from 16 different species. They were the remnants of once great civilizations, now humbled by collapse. "We were wrong about humans," Kralfax told the gathered aliens. "We feared their potential so much that we created the very situation we feared." And elderly Zalaxian nodded sadly. "Operation Containment was our greatest mistake. We planned to use them and then control them. Instead, they simply left, and we discovered how dependent we had become." The small group had spent months traveling from system to system, gathering like-minded individuals who understood the truth. The galaxy needed humans, not as servants or tools, but as true partners. "Our new alliance has one purpose," Kralfax declared: "to rebuild trust with humanity, not through deception or need, but through genuine respect and cooperation." In Earth orbit, Admiral Weber reviewed the latest intelligence reports from the observation team. Her aide pointed to a small ship approaching the outer defensive perimeter of the Sol system. "They've been transmitting the same message for 3 days as they approach," the aide explained. "It appears to be a diplomatic mission led by the Viridian named Kralfax." Weber studied the data carefully. Earth had received many desperate pleas over the past year, but this one seemed different. What exactly are they requesting? Simply to talk. They're not asking for technology or assistance. They say they want to rebuild trust, even if it takes generations. Weber thought for a long moment. "Allow them to approach the Jupiter checkpoint. I want to hear what they have to say." The small alien vessel moved cautiously through space, its occupants nervous but determined. They carried no weapons, brought no advanced technology. They came only with words and a genuine desire to make amends. On Earth, humanity had thrived in its isolation. The withdrawal had united humans in purpose, and the threat of Operation Containment had reminded everyone of the need for vigilance. But many humans also missed their interactions with the wider galaxy. Not all aliens had supported the containment plan. In his office overlooking the Pacific Ocean, President Jordan Lane received the report about the approaching alien delegation. "They say they come in true peace, having learned their lesson," explained his chief advisor. "Should we turn them away like all the others?" Jordan looked out at the ocean, thinking of the vast galaxy beyond. No, isolation was never meant to be permanent. It was a lesson, not a final solution. He turned back to his advisor. "Let them come. We'll listen to what they have to say." As the alien ship approached Jupiter, its occupants gazed in wonder at the massive human defensive platforms surrounding the gas giant. The true extent of human technological capability was still being revealed to them. Kralfax stood at the viewport, watching as a small human vessel approached to escort them. After a year of chaos and collapse, this small gesture, simply being allowed to approach, felt like an enormous victory.